What is up, everybody? Welcome back to a live Q&A with Bluecollar Bodybuilding YouTube channel. Hope everybody's doing good out there. Just a regular old Tuesday. Jackie and I just got home from training leg day for both of us, quad day. Pretty good session. I had fun. Off season starting to get to that point where it's a little monotonous and same thing every day, same routine, that's bodybuilding for you, right? I guess we can't bitch and complain about it, but it's kind of sitting there going, well, all I got to look forward to is tomorrow. Don't have any shows planned. Don't Everyone's asking, oh, when's your next show? What are you deciding on doing? What's this year looking like? And I have no clue. I have literally zero clue. All I know is off season's going well. Making great progress. So it's one of those scenarios you just ride it till the wheels fall off. I think at the end of the day, we realize that there's you only really get so many good off seasons. Like we go to make progress every year. You try to put a little bit of muscle mass on, you try to put a little bit of improve your weak points and try to just get ahead. Of course, so you're better off the next competitive year than the year before, but sometimes you just don't get those. You're not going to get 15 pounds of growth every year. You're not going to get, you're not going to make massive changes every single off season. So it's kind of like a little bit of a mystery sometimes, but when it's going well and it's going well, it's pretty obvious. And I'm kind of in one of those positions right now, and I'm happy about it. Sitting at 235 pounds, pretty lean, feeling good. Zionic, what's up, buddy? Good evening to you, my man. And but it's one of those off seasons. Things are just going well, and I can feel it. I can tell, and I'm happy about it. And strength's going up. Body's feeling good. Health markers are in a good position. I really got nothing to complain about other than it's a little boring. Just waiting for tomorrow. Pretty much waiting for the wheels to fall off. Now I got a couple more cards I can play before it's time to call it quits and hit that health phase and then start looking at the schedule for shows. I got a while to go before that happens, and I got a few cards up my sleeve that we can pull first. So kind of looking forward to executing this second half of the off season and just keep adding some muscle tissue and hopefully to be at the top end of a heavyweight class is the game plan rather than at the bottom end like I've done before. But every time I've competed in the heavyweight class, I've always been on the light side, usually 20 pounds, 15 pounds below most of the guys because they're at the top of the weight class. But I performed well. I performed pretty good in the heavyweight class, even being smaller. But this time I'd like to be at the top end and just try to blow the doors off everybody. So let's see how everything goes. But yeah, that's what my day was like. Everything's going good on my end. Food's been kind of getting boring. I got to admit that part. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm a little bit like bored with my food in the sense of just no hunger. So, I enjoy my meals, but I'm definitely getting to that part of the off season where it's like, all right, I'm not excited for a high day. I'm not really excited for any special meal. Kind of look forward to the off days, my low days, my rest days, because the food's manageable and it's easy, and you definitely forget how much food can be a pain in the ass when you're not hungry. So I think I might eventually just pull out that 1 milligram of retatrutide that I got going for my health. Trying to keep, help with some insulin sensitivity, help with lipids in the long run. And there are some other health benefits you get along with running retatrutide and the glucagon that's in the product itself. But I don't think it's hindering my appetite any bit, but for the hell of it, might as well pull it out and see what happens. So I think that's what I'm going to do next week. Just pull it out. It's 1 milligram a week. If I notice something, great. If I don't, we'll just keep an eye on our health metrics and go from there. But nonetheless, I wanted to just hop on and get at least a good half hour on, see what's up with everybody. See, there's a few people watching right now. If you guys got any questions, anything you want to talk about, feel free to throw it in the chat and we'll hit that up. One thing I wanted to talk about, I just saw I wonder if I could pull it up. I ain't gonna bother right now, but I just saw that Hadi Chupon finally came out and spoke about the little bit of controversy going on with himself and his country of Iran right now. Now, I don't know the whole story, so don't come for my throat if I get it wrong, or I'm not dead on. But from what I'm understanding is Hadi right now is getting a little bit of flack from his countrymen in Iran because he had some sort of screensaver on his phone. I think that showed like the Ayatollah or whatever it is, Hezbollah or something like that. One of those crazy terrorist groups that none of us like that are in power over there, and where the people are kind of revolting in a rare occasion against the government in Iran. The people of Iran don't like the fact that he's siding with the government instead of the people, or at least that's what they feel is going on. And Hadi just kind of came out and said his two cents of that. That he's, in his opinion, he feels he's never backed any government entity, and he's always had his own opinions on things. And he loves the people of Iran. They've done a lot for him. He's a superstar over there. And I kind of stepped back and looked and, heard what he had to say, looked at the scenario, and I really don't feel any different about the situation. Now, I'm a big Hadi fan, so yeah, I'm a little biased, but I can tell you what, he's in a tough position. I mean, think about it, right? So imagine being one of the big stars of your country, and it happens to be Iran. Now, they're a dictatorship over there, and and a little bit of a crazy country, I guess we could all say. I don't think anyone's going to debate that stuff. But he's in a tough position. If he goes against the country, they're never going to let him leave Iran. I mean, they have the power over there to never let him leave Iranian soil if he wants. No, that's not what Hadi wants. Hadi wants to come and go. He wants to go to the States and compete. He's a bodybuilder through and through. And the fact that the people give him a lot of crap for backing some entity of the government officials over there, whether he truly does or it's just a screensaver on his phone, that doesn't tell you his whole story of how he feels about them. But either way, he's in a tough position. How are we to even know how he feels if he doesn't back the government, or at least make it look like, hey, I'm kosher with the government, I'm cool with them, everything's fine? They're not going to let him leave the country. And if he completely supports the people and says F you to the Iranian government and the officials over there, yeah, same thing. He's not going to be able to leave. Now, if he shows a ton of support openly towards the Iranian government, the people are going to revolt against him, and then he's screwed too. So nonetheless, it's kind of a suck position he's in, right? I mean, could you imagine that? It's like a no-win scenario. So I can say one thing: he's always been pretty quiet. He's always kept to himself. Yeah, he said a few times he was a little bit of a poor sport, from what we understand, with him walking off when Derek won, and the Olympia, and some people call it a little bit of poor sportsmanship, and I think a little bit too. I think that was a little sour moment, but we've all been there. We've all had sour moments we're not proud of, that's for sure. So, but I just wanted to hit on that. I thought that I thought it was kind of good that he actually came out and said something, and gave his opinion, whether you like it or not. But yeah, exactly. He's damned if he does. He's damned if he doesn't. It's a suck position to be in. So I wish him for the best. Seems like his real interest is to bodybuild, to do what he's dedicated his life to, provide for his family. And being Iranian and, in a national of that country, it's tough to make everyone happy when there's a revolt going on. There's a revolution in play in Iran with their people too. So he's kind of in a suck position, and I just want to see him be able to get back to bodybuilding and, get the most out of the work he's put in. And we want the best athletes at the biggest shows. I want to see him at the Arnold when we head down there, and I want to see the best on stage, and I think every fan would want the same. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But I thought it was good that he didn't stay quiet and let other people speak for him. I think sometimes it's important to maybe not speak right away, but have some time to think to yourself, develop your opinion, and take your stand. Tell people how you feel, and they can either like it or they can suck it. Who the fuck cares? But Charles, what's up? Thanks for joining in, buddy. Just got back from a great arm and leg workout. Yeah, I just hit quads too. Um, I'll tell you what, in the off season, the suck part, one suck part I'm starting to get to is you just kind of hurt all the time being a little heavier. Your lower back pumps, and I'm sure all of you have dealt with that at some point. But you really got to get yourself up for those workouts. You really got to slap yourself in the face a few times and really get amped up. And I've been kind of dragging ass, and I've been having to have Jackie slap me around. And I've actually been working out with a few different buddies just to kind of get a little bit more of a push, which is something that's very rare for me. I'm one that, I'll be honest, anyone that knows me, I hate working out with other people. And it's not them. It's I'm one to like to do my training by myself, kind of get in my own zone, go at my own pace. It's just how I've always been. Um, but lately I've been I'm taking advantage of having some buddies that want to train and want to push me and help me out like I've done with them as well in the past. But nonetheless, we still got some questions from the past few months. Like I've said to you before, with my Q&As, they're never really, there's some of them are fresh questions, but I'll literally get lists of questions and just dump them in a document and then eventually get to them. And like the other day, we did a podcast. I think we got the one question. So if this is any of you listening's question, I apologize that it's probably months old. And yeah, let's get into that. But just give me 1 sec. I'm going to be a pain in the ass. I actually have to respond to a quick message on my phone that is direly important now that I see. All right. So let's see. What do we got? Questions. So Drew asks, his question is, what's more dangerous in your opinion? So it's a PED question. What's more dangerous, blasting high doses for a short time or cruising on lower doses for years? That's actually a pretty damn good question because there's going to be catch-22s for each scenario. Hey, what's up, Josh? I don't know. Maybe you guys give me your opinion too on that in the chat, but I guess it depends on what we're utilizing. Like high doses of the wrong things can be, obviously detrimental, right? Like I don't want to be doing a gram of tren for any period of time, or like methyl tren, or high doses of halo if you're already a little fucking psycho in the head like I am. But I do believe that the reality is if we're using something that's not ideal for our health, there's bioidentical compounds we use in the sense of testosterones and growth hormones and insulin. And, there's some of these things that our body is definitely more accustomed to and okay with, and we can escalate the doses on the higher end. But then there's some stuff that's not bioidentical, right? That's a little bit more dangerous in the sense it might be hepotoxic, it might be nephrotoxic, it might be, or sometimes like oral steroids can, mess with digestion, can mess with, lipids pretty well to a point. So I think in the long run, if I was to answer that question, I would actually say that lower doses for a long period of time, if you're using the wrong things, is probably going to be worse. But then again, it'd probably be the healthiest route if you're only using testosterone and growth hormone and you're just trying to make some steady gains. But it all depends on how you react. It depends on the scenario for the person. What's high dose for a short period of time might not be so high to me, or it might be astronomical in my opinion. I think maybe Charles chimes in, says, I think maybe a moderate dose of safer compounds for long periods of times, as long as your blood work holds up good. Yeah, exactly. I think, no, actually you're dead on, dude, because at the end of the day, we really can only use what agrees with us. So short period of time, long period of time, if it's a compound that doesn't agree with me, like I can give you an example, like I like nandrolone, I like NPP. I don't have anything against DECA, but that's something that if I go over like 300 milligrams of that, it messes with, my estrogen. It messes, which is the only thing that kind of messes with my estrogen. My body does a pretty good job regulating itself. But also the other side of the coin is that that gives me a little bit of like anxiety as well. So that would be a compound where a moderate dose for some would be a high dose for me in any period of time. I'm not going to handle a high dose of nandrolone. I'm sure we all have something that just disagrees with us, like our buddy Paul, EQ. He's got nothing against using it with some of his clients, but the reality is it doesn't agree with him. He's too sensitive with something like EQ, where it shuts him down hard. And we're starting to find out a lot of guys with Primo and Masteron not being around, they're experimenting with EQ to kind of manage estrogen, but also give them some anabolic milligrams, let's say, just kind of get milligrams upon milligrams to grow. And yeah, the problem is some people aren't used to it, and they're realizing that they're in the same boat as Paul, crushes their estrogen. Where I'm in the other side of the coin. Right now, I'm running 700 milligrams of test in 450 EQ, which would crush most people's estrogen, just wipe them out. For me, it's perfect. I hate the word ratio for those things because there's no one ratio that suits everybody. But that definitely works quite well for me. Let's see, what else do we got? EQ. Charles says EQ smashes his E2 and it ruins your sleep and then your training. Yeah, see, so that's a great example of it sounds like any dose is not going to be beneficial. Even if you could handle like 150 milligrams, is it worth it, Charles? Like 150 milligrams for what? Barely getting any anabolism. Maybe it's a better, healthier way for some to manage estrogen rather than an AI consistently if you're a high converter. But that's few and far between. So yeah, I guess it's kind of a hard question. High doses, short period of time, or low doses for years. It really depends on what we're talking and who you are and how you react to certain things at the end of the day. So let's see. I had actually a fun question that I meant to ask with the group. I think I'll make sure I ask those to them as well because it'll be a fun group question, but I'm going to get one of them in. It was just a general question about being a coach. It says, tell me about a time you thought you were a genius and the plan humbled you. The first time I thought I was a genius, but the plan humbled you. I'm trying to think of a hard lesson I learned that kind of went sideways. That's a tough one. I don't have anything that jumps out at me. I guess I'd say kind of one thing that I thought I knew well, but I realized it took a little bit more time to pick up on and get good at was water manipulation for people's peaks. So we get people in great shape. Let's just say we get someone fat free. We fill them up, but then the next thing we have to address is they're full, but they're a little watery and they're fat free. So how do we peel off that layer, that film of water, whether it's a lot or a little, just to perfect the peak? And I never used to really account for manipulating sodium much. So I would get kind of different reactions because I would tell people to keep their sodium consistent. So they would say, okay, I salt my meals at a quarter teaspoon a meal. I'd say just keep it consistent. We're just not going to fuck with sodium. We're not going to fuck with electrolytes. Just keep them all going the same. And the problem that I'd have with that is sometimes I'd be flushing out people with too much water and they'd have not much electrolytes to kind of hold the fullness. So I don't want to say I blew anyone's peak, but I never really nailed it with the water on my first handful of peaks. And I had to learn different people react differently too the hard way. So I thought on paper I had it down. I thought I knew the method. I thought it was simple. It made sense. But at the end of the day, it's person dependent. And it just takes a little bit of time. You can know it on paper, but some shit in coaching, you just got to do yourself and learn it and get your own, hands dirty and kind of learn your own methods. And at this point, I've kind of adopted that everyone's different and we got to figure these things out ahead of time at a peak. So yeah, I used to think that it'd be so easy to just manipulate water. And boy, was I wrong on the first couple times. Luckily, it didn't mess up anyone's look because the reality is if you're fucking fat free, it's hard to screw that up. So that's one thing is we definitely get people peeled to the bone. Let's see what's in the chat. Josh says, I have top comment on Sam Slick's video today. Big support from the bros. Badass, homie. I'm curious, Josh, how many um, comments you put on YouTube a day? I thought I'm on YouTube a lot. Dude, you're all over the place. I'll look through comments of a random video and somehow you're watching it and commenting on it. Um, do way better with high E2. Yeah, that's a good point, Charles. Well, what do you call high E2? I mean, again, that's relative from person to person. Like I run kind of low estrogen. I'm never like catching my estrogen high and always trying to corral it down. But high for me would be like on an ultra sensitive, like 70 and above range. Yeah, so you're kind of like me. I operate pretty well around that too. Um, Now, if I get under like 25, I feel it. Like I feel already bone dry feeling. I feel like achy joints. Sometimes attitude a little bit might come into play, but not as much as you'd think. I hear a lot of people talk about like estrogen messes with their mental aspects of things, and I totally get it. It makes sense why it would. For me, I just seem to never get bothered by that. I don't get emotional with things. I don't really get down or depressed or become kind of blah, um, which some people definitely do, and I've seen it. But nonetheless, I do get the physical aspects of feeling run down, feeling achy joints, and all that shit. Perfect. Um, 80, I dropped down to 10 and it ruined me. I know, dude. You don't want to mess that up. I tell people too, one thing I see a lot of people do is they always fuck up how to do their blood work and like make adjustments to their blood work. So, like, give you an example. I can't tell you how many guys have told me, "Hey, Dave, I feel like I get some estrogen issues or side effects, and I started taking an AI. Should I go get my blood work?" It's like, motherfucker, do your blood work before you touch anything. Now, how are we going to know what we're looking at? It's silly. So I don't know how you got there, Charles, like how you got down to 10, but maybe you made that mistake too. But nonetheless, yeah, 10 on your estrogen is no fun. I don't care who you are. You literally feel like sickly and like deathly to a point. Um, yeah. So what, you weren't accustomed with EQ? Charles says EQ is what got him down to 10. Um, yeah, I guess that's how it happens. Usually 1 or 2 comments a day, Josh says. It kind of depends if the baby is sleeping. Obviously, awake is teaching him to talk and walk. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I got to get off YouTube half the time. I'm fucking on YouTube more than I need to be when I'm supposed to be working. But that's how I learn. Josh being worked. So, Charles, you said even at 750 tests and you went up to 500 EQ. So you were at 750 tests, 500 EQ, and that's the threshold that got you to 10. That's when you realized it was too much. Is that what you're saying? Because that's a good amount of EQ for most people at 750 test. I don't see guys being able to run like half. Yeah. So yeah. Well, at least you know now. Yeah. What did you settle at? Did you bump it down or did you pull out the EQ? I was gonna say maybe like 300, 250, 300. Just run it and see how you feel. If you find this Goldilocks zone, then you find your spot. Now think about it, we do change as we get bigger and we get more androgen receptors over time. You do want to, that ratio might not work it. So you pulled it out. Yeah. Well, if you ever decide to put it back, I'd literally just start at 100 milligram increments at a time and just let it run in the background and see what happens. And, if you're checking your blood work every 2 to 3 months or just running down to get a E2 to get checked, it's not like you have to do full bloods all the time. I think Alta Labs that we're affiliated with our code, it's like, I think less than $25 by the time you're done. You can go get an ultra sensitive E2 and just get it done and just keep an eye on it. Yeah, I know, Josh. I'm gonna have to get you on soon. I got to get the StreamYard or trying to do this. I got to get the StreamYard. Been fucking lazy with that. Anyhow, let's jump back into a couple. We'll hit a couple more questions and go from there. There was one that I thought was interesting. Where do you draw the ethical line as a coach when a client wants to use gear? What you will and won't support. Um, that's kind of so experience matters. Like if someone comes to me, even not so bright with the things they're doing with their anabolics, I will still work with them and just try to educate them how to do a safer practice or just like a more optimal way of using their gear. Um, if I get somebody that rubs me the wrong way, I'm just very intuitive. Like if I get someone that rubs me the wrong way, we do a consultation. They're looking to get coaching from me, and all they want to do is talk about the magic cycle, this cycle, that cycle. They're so drug focused. Um, ethically, I mean, that's up to them. I'm not really going to take them or not take them, but I'm going to make it very apparent to them. Be like, hey, you know, there's a lot more to bodybuilding than the cycle, and if I got people, put it this way, if I get people that can't diet consistently and they can't train with intensity, you're never even going to hear me talk about steroids with you. If we can't get the basics done, like all these foundational pieces, none of you are going to disagree with that. Like, what's the point of taking anything if you can't train well and you got no diet worth its weight in anything? You got to have those things, or you're literally can take whatever you want and nothing's going to happen other than you're probably going to get sick or fucked up. Um, what was the second half of that question? There's only one thing I won't support at the end of the day for use with people, and it's literally DNP. Um, I really got nothing that I won't try with people. But at the end of the day, I'm not a fan of DNP, and the reason is like the margin for error for DNP, where you get this thermogenic response and this thermic uncoupling that can kind of spiral out of control if you take too high of a dose, and there's no shutting off DNP. Once you fuck up, you're screwed. Hopefully, fingers crossed, you'll not get too screwed up from it. But these companies that you're buying it from, there's no that I'm aware of a pharmaceutical DNP, right? They're not prescribing it. So the quality of that shit matters. So if you're ordering something from freaking China or somebody that got it, that made it in their bathtub, or even a company that has a good reputation, if they don't get that microgram dosing correct, you're gonna get fucked up. Like if you think it's 200 micrograms or whatever, 100 micrograms, and it ends up being one that's spiked at 500 a tab, you're screwed. You don't want to do that. That what to because you were too lazy to just exercise all the other options before DNP. DNP is not even a break glass in case of emergency scenario, in my opinion. So that's the only thing I don't mess with. If I need DNP to get you in shape, there's something going on there's something wrong that we haven't identified yet. Either you're not doing what you're supposed to, or I, for some reason, can't figure you out as a client, which has never happened quite yet. The law of thermodynamics is tried and true, so as long as we can get an energy deficit, we're going to do just fine. Jesse the Body, DNP is trash. I know. I mean, so many people tell me they feel like garbage on it. I mean, why would you want to take something that you're going to go train and feel like garbage, do your cardio, feel like garbage, you eat your food, you don't feel so good, you could possibly die pretty easily, and it's really not that crazy effective. Like I find retatrutide to be far more impressive than DNP. Of course, I've seen plenty of people use both of them. I just don't. I don't find it very impressive, to be honest. And who wants to sweat all day and stink? Because the people that take DNP, for some reason, they just fucking stink all day too. But yeah, that's kind of my line. I won't mess with DNP. There's a million other ways to get skinny. You could just not eat if you had to. If you got to make a weight class, or you got to make a certain occasion or whatever, if you have to, you can just push it with food to a point. And yeah, same. See, Jesse says, I'd rather go into a hard deficit and ramp up cardio. Yeah. I mean, there's just a million other ways. You could do training on low days, right? You could kind of, or like Paul's become a fan of doing some protein sparing. What does he call it? Protein modified fasting, sparing modified fasting. So basically, you're just eating protein and some vegetables throughout the day. So you might mix that in for like 1 or 2 days. You really drag your body weight down, really protein sparing modified fast. Thank you, Josh. Um, that's a great tactic too. I mean, think about it, you go hard for a day too, then you kind of get some rest on the weekend or something like that, or you run it right before a high day, then you can fill back up. You'd be all that much more depleted and sensitive to absorb your food now. Um, yeah, see, everyone's got it. PSMF. There we go. That's a great method. There's a bunch of ways to get a little extreme with the fat loss without really beating the shit out of yourself. Um, again, I think fasting's a great way to do that and stuff like yeah, you could just fast for 24 hours. You'd be amazed if you just had a normal day of activity, a baseline of activity, of steps, a touch of cardio, and stay hydrated and electrolytes, and you fast for a day, you can burn some good amount of energy. I mean, think about it. If your daily requirement's 2,000 calories and you're burning an extra 1,000 because you're throwing cardio on top of that, and then you're going without your food, I mean, you could literally burn a half a pound to a pound of fat in a day's time. Now, you can't do that all the time. I mean, at some point, you got to come up for air, right? Um, do it for a month. Yeah. Well, I can tell you what, I was a dipshit that between shows one time, I had 3 weeks between the first show of my season and the second show of my season. And I literally did protein only meals, no fats, no carbs, no vegetables, just a piece of meat 6 times a day for 3 straight weeks. And all the fat burners I needed, I was fucking peeled to the bone, but it, that was miserable. I was like brain dead at that point. Fast in a bottle of Serostim. That'll keep you full in a different way. I like the way you think, Josh. All right. Let's get one more in and then we'll call it a night. I still got to eat here. Got 2 more meals tonight. What's your non-negotiable client compliance rule? This one's simple for me. I think I actually went on. I think I might have answered that one before, but I didn't cross it off, which I'm going to do. My number one client compliance rule is honesty. It's so simple. Like, I'm a pretty chill guy. Like, I get pretty intense sometimes, but if I'm coaching you, I'm on your team and I am fucking loyally on your team. If you and I decide we're going to get together, we're going to get a program together, we're going to get a game plan, and we're going to prep for a show 9 months from now, we're going to put on a little size, hit a health phase, dial up a cycle, and fucking go at it. I am loyally on your team. I am just as competitive and intense as the competitor themselves. I want to win. And what I don't do is I don't lie to anyone. If you're fucking off and you're not doing well, I'm going to tell you need to step up your game. If I think that you're faking it in the sense of saying, like, I'm putting in a lot of hard work here, it's the best I got, and I know you got more in you, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to call you and say, bullshit, I think you need to do more or whatnot. Or if you're doing well, I'm going to tell you you're doing well. So I'm pretty honest with people, straightforward. And if I make a mistake, I tell you. Luckily, I don't want to sound cocky, but luckily it doesn't happen a lot, but we all make mistakes. But I'm honest with people, and I expect that in return from my coaching clients, from my teammates. If you mess up on your diet, or life gets in the way and or you get so mentally stressed where you're just like, I just need a day off or I'm going to go fucking crazy, just tell me the truth. Don't lie. I will find out if you lie. I can tell when my clients cheat on the diet and tell me that they're not overeating or undereating, because I've had that. I can tell, and I'm always right. And I never call anyone out unless I know for sure. And then I'll call them out and be like, you're not telling me the truth. I want to know exactly everything because I know what's going on. I know the truth. So tell me exactly what's going on. And I always nail it. When that happens, it always ends up being, yeah, you're right, coach. I fucked up. So let's forget about the dance, the run around, and just be honest with each other. So that's like my biggest pet peeve is people either not putting enough effort into their little bit of homework with like a check-in with like the information they got to provide for me, like a little bit of homework. Maybe I want to see like a couple of your chest movements or a couple of your quad movements or something like that. If you can't do 20 minutes a week of homework I ask for from you, um, drives me insane. And if you're lying to me about things or not being honest, that drives me absolutely crazy. And I will drop people if I can't work with you. If not, what am I coaching? So that's definitely my biggest compliance rule is just be honest with me. I'll be straightforward with you and we'll most likely get along and you won't have anyone more loyal on your team than me. Um, I can be a very loyal, good friend, the best friend that you can imagine, great coach, and be right by your side. But if you're disloyal to me, I'll forget about you and drop you in 2 seconds. And it's just the more honest people are with me and the more direct and let me in on things, the better I can do getting in their mind and figuring out what makes this person tick and how we can get them to win a show, to win and collect medals and get their goals accomplished. So I like that question because it's a simple one. Any other fun ones? Let's try one more. How do you handle a client who wants to rush everything? Honestly, who has a great explanation for this is people like Justin Harris. He did an excellent job in the past kind of explaining the math of optimally how much muscle you can grow in a year's time. And I forget the equation he came up with, but Justin's a bright guy, and I want to say it was something like 500 grams was a pound, and then you divide that by X amount of days over the year, and he came up with a way to say what's the optimal amount of muscle you can grow in a year. And then we backtrack that into what does that come out to in a day? Like how much muscle can you grow in a day, in a week, in 4 weeks, a month? It's minuscule. And when you look at the best people on the planet, when you look at the best growers we've ever seen in the sport of bodybuilding, give you an example like Nick Walker, and Paul uses this example too. So excuse me if I'm repeating some of their info, but you look at someone like Nick Walker, he came out to putting like 100 pounds on in 10 years, right? That's a wild amount of muscle. Now people look and they go, well, that's 10, let's average it out. That's 10 pounds a year. Okay. So that's under a pound a month. And then you divide that by 30 days in a month. It comes out to being a small amount. I want to say it was like, I think he's averaging something like less than 10 grams a day of protein being synthesized in the muscle if you did the math and it was like perfect. That's a small amount. So you have to learn to be patient how can you rush how fast the body's going to synthesize protein in the muscle? You can't. I mean, we're already utilizing all the tactics we can. We got anabolics in play. We have high quality food. We have targeted intentful training that we're using to stimulate growth, and we're trying to rest. I mean, us bodybuilders try to get 1% advantage out of everything that we can. And so when people get a little impatient, that's usually one little example I'll point to is like, hey, let's look at someone like Nick Walker. Let's do the math. And then when you say, even if you were as good as Nick Walker, you're still not going to even grow a pound of muscle in a month. Okay. So let's be patient. Let's make sure we make the most out of every single day. And then at the end of the day, when people start seeing the results coming in at a good rate and they see consistency, that becomes addictive to them, or that becomes prideful to them. And they chase that. They chase like, oh, the more consistent I am, it correlates to better results. And it's just totally true. It's kind of like Jackie and I were talking last night and we were saying, she kind of said something like, would you rather someone 100% have an 80% plan, 80% optimal plan that someone does 100% consistently, or 100% perfect plan that someone does 80% consistently? And it's obvious. If you have a mediocre, but 80% plan, a value, and they can do it at 100% consistency. It's perfect. Yeah, I wish we could get both, Josh, but you know how it is. I mean, it's near impossible to be perfectly consistent over a year's time. You're gonna have fuck ups, and you're gonna have mistakes that sometimes aren't even your fault. Um, I had last month, I had 3 meals in glass, my really nice glass Tupperware containers that I take because and they smashed all on the ground out of my truck. So I went without 3 meals because I couldn't turn around and make more. I had a schedule to follow. I had work, I had priorities. Yeah, you actually get neither in reality. Yeah, it's true. But you strive for it. You know, that's still the goal. It's not like you're going, well, I'll never get 100%, so let's aim for 99. You aim for perfect, bullseye every time. And yeah, I don't know how I got off that tangent. I feel like Paul sometimes just ranting. But nonetheless, yeah, let's call it a night. Just wanted to hop on for a quick one, see who wanted to hop on and say hello, get a couple of these questions that are months old out of the way. Tomorrow, we're going to be filming a new coach's corner, so you guys should see that hopefully towards the end of the week. And yeah, good night to you, Josh. Good talking to you guys. And yeah, and then I got a bunch of vlogs I got to chop up and send them out. Some fun training. I've been behind my game. I don't know if you guys noticed, I put a Christmas video out that I forgot to drop just the other day. So good over a month behind on that one. So we're going to get more content. I have actually a lot of fun. I have a couple fun studies I want to look into that are not going to benefit us as bodybuilders, but they're cool to look at. Like I have one that somebody's talking about that they did a study, and study claims that you lose, what is it? You miss out on 66, so 2/3 of your muscle synthesis, protein synthesis from using ice baths. I'd really like to get to the bottom of that because I think that there's a little bit of merit into probably ice baths aren't perfect for using immediately after training. If you're looking to grow as much muscle, I can't imagine that's 2/3. That seems like a fucking lot. Um, yeah, I mean, I get that. I guess it's timing matters too, Josh, right? But you know, timing. Like if I literally do my last set and I jump in the ice bath, you know, that's one thing. But you know, how far out? Like 2 hours, 4 hours, or maybe the next morning kind of recovery ice bath. There's got to be. I mean, look at Chris Bumstead. He ice bathed constantly, and he's fucking huge. You know, he's one of the best. I mean, great. He's got awesome genetics, but um, yeah, and that's what I'm getting to too. Is it erases the inflammatory process um, that you get from tearing down the muscle in hopes to trigger mTOR and grow. Um, but just fun ones. We'll get to the bottom of that. But nonetheless, I'm going to hop off. So everybody be good. Everyone in the chat, appreciate you guys for contributing. And anyone that's watching this that is not subscribed to my channel, please do me a favor, subscribe to the Bluecollar Bodybuilding channel. It makes a difference in the algorithm. It spreads the word, gives us more motivation to put out more of these videos. And I enjoy watching the subscriber count go up. So everybody be good, grip it and rip it, and we'll catch you on the next one.